Hey guys, how's it going? We're gonna go check out the Granite Mountain Fire exhibit today. The Littles and myself. The Granite Mountain Fire exhibit kind of talks about the speculator mine disaster. It is the largest hard rock mining disaster in North American's history. It was on June 8th, 1917. Approximately 168 guys unfortunately lost their lives on that day. We'll get into a little bit more while we get up there. We're just currently driving through uptown Butte. Kind of give you guys a little bit of sights from that on the way. Mother Lode Theaters, it's right there. That's a really awesome place. Butte Academy of Beauty, that's the beauty college. All of uptown Butte is one big historic district. It's really awesome. To get to the Granite Mountain Fire exhibit, you have to go up Main Street. Butte Archives, it's right there. That's a very, very informative place. All kinds of physical history documents there. It's the original mine yard. See the Mountain Con head frame right there. The Mountain Con is Butte's deepest mine. It's over a mile deep, very close to it, close to a mile. There's a saying here in Butte. Butte is a mile high and a mile deep, so everybody from Butte's on the level, right? Alright, so we're just about there. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's good spirits, good health. Hope everybody's Halloween was a good one. Had a great time on at Halloween. Hope those kids got out, got all kinds of candy. This is what Halloween's about. I seen some pretty awesome costumes last night while we were out trick-or-treating. It's just, Halloween is a great fun time, and I'm glad that the kids are able to get out and enjoy that. All right, so we are now approaching the Granite Mountain Fire exhibit. One of my exploring buddies today, little Missy's enjoying it out here, having a good old time. So this is the largest hard rock mine disaster in North American history. It was at the Speculator Mine. That's where it all started. And unfortunately, 168 guys perished in this incident. So it's a very big deal that happened here in Butte. This memorial is dedicated to the men, or to the 168 men who lost their lives in hard rock mining's greatest disaster, the Granite Mountain Speculator Fire, June 8th, 1917. There's all the different flags from all the countries where the guys were from. I'll get up a little bit closer to those. A little exploration buddy. One of them. I have quite a few. This here's the one of two that's hanging out with me today since they're not in school. And then the other Missy. In Butte, Montana, from 1870 to 1983, 2,500 men lost their lives from mine-related causes. We are standing on hollowed ground. Like I said earlier, this is like you're standing up on top of the world when you're up here at this exhibit. You can look down into some of the workings of the pit down in there. You have Butte way off in the distance. So these flags from the different countries where the guys were from, you have Norway, Greece, Belgium, Poland, Hungary, Sweden, Czechoslovakia, France, Spain, Mexico, Finland, Italy, the US. Then you have over on this side, you have Canada, England, Ireland, whoop whoop, Germany, Switzerland, Wales, Austria, Yugoslavia, Scotland, Turkey, the Netherlands, Denmark, and Lebanon. This here monument was built by Atlantic Richfield Company, which is a subsidiary of British Petroleum. Not exactly sure what year it was built. I'll try to get that information and put it on here as well. There's many volunteers that helped build this as well, so it's really awesome place. This sign here, the Butte community thanks Jerry Day Walter for her unwavering perseverance and volunteer efforts to erect this monument to Butte's mining history, preserving our past to create our future. It says here, the women of Butte women never worked in the mines, but their toil above ground shaped the face of the city. Most of the mining city's women were wives and mothers, immigrant and native born. They struggled to nurture their families and preserve their cultural heritage against tough odds. In the difficult climate of Butte, housekeeping was a heroic task. Hundreds of women washed, cooked, and cleaned for boarders as well as their own families. And always in the back of their minds was the fear that a whistle would blow, signaling a mine disaster and the death of their husbands or sons. Women also labored outside the home. Single women worked as bucket girls, sales clerks, waitresses, teachers, midwives, maids, and seamstresses. Hours were long, pay was low, and working conditions were often grim. In 1893, the Women's Protective Union was founded for the benefit of the city's cooks, maids, and waitresses. Over the years, other working women joined its ranks. The union protected women from exploitation and gave them a sense of working-class consciousness and female pride. One significant group of women did not enjoy the benefits of a union. Prostitutes formed a large segment of Butte's female labor force. The mining city had one of the most notorious red light districts in the West. Little about it was glamorous. Most women worked out of small, dingy cribs. Alcohol and drug addiction, disease, and violence plagued the lives of these Butte workers. Butte women also contributed to the city with their voluntary labor. Dozens of women clubs produced plays, planted gardens, lobbied for public playgrounds and pure food laws, raised money to build churches and buy milk for school children. Through their work, both paid and unpaid, Butte's women made the mining city a place to call home. So this is also saying that the The labor history of Butte, Montana. Butte is known as the Gibraltar of labor. It was the strongest union town on earth. During the reign of the Copper Kings, labor was reasonably well treated, but after consolidation of the mines in 1899, labor faced a new enemy, the power and influence of corporate America. Practically all trades in Butte were unionized. About 50 different unions thrived in a closed-shop atmosphere, from Powerful Miners Union Number 1 and the Women's Protective Union to the Paper Boys Club. Labor played a leading role in the life of the community. Butte Miners Union, organized in 1878, was recognized as Miners Union Number 1, since it played an instrumental role in founding the Western Federation of Miners in Butte in 1893. In 1905, Butte sent a large delegation to Chicago, where the IWW, Industrial Workers of the World, was formed. This new radicalism was created by competition from newer immigrant groups, increasing fatalities in the mines due to newer technologies, and the loss of local control after consolidation. World War I brought increasing pressure to get the rock in the box. Production and profits increased, and so did the number of mine fatalities. After the Granite Mountain fire, IWW activist Frank Little came to Butte. His ideas for radical societal change was endorsed by some people and rejected by others. Feelings ran high on all sides. Little was brutally beaten, dragged behind an automobile, and hanged on August 1st, 1917. His murderers were never named. However, a little side note on that, I was told that it is believed that the vehicle dragging him behind the vehicle that he was drugged behind down the street was a sheriff's car. So it kind of shows you the reach of the Anaconda Company and how they basically owned everything. Further dissent was crushed when it became illegal through the Montana Sedition Law to speak out against the war effort. Colonel Omar Bradley and the U.S. Army raided the Butte IWW headquarters and the Metal Mine Workers Union office. Labor organizations were suppressed in Butte, and the Gibraltar of labor was dead. The open shop prevailed until the New Deal enabled unionism to rise once again. The closed shop was imposed on the Butte Hill in 1934. There were some letters that were found in a pocket of a man named Manus Dugan. The notes were found in the pocket of him. He saved the lives of 25 men by building a bulkhead against the gas. Some letters from J.D. Moore. A shift boss, J.D. Moore, saved 6 men from death. His group was underground for 50 hours. Moore died shortly before they were rescued. Moore's letter was written in this time book. First letter, 6/8/17. Dear Pet, this may be the last message you will get from me. The gas broke about 11:15. I tried to get all the men out, but the smoke was too strong. I got some of the boys with me in a drift and put in a bulkhead. If anything happens to me, you had better sell the house and go to California and live. You will know your Jim died like a man, and his last thought was for his wife that I love better than anyone on earth. We will meet again. Tell Mother and the boys goodbye. With love to my pet, and may God take care of you. Your loving Jim, James D. Moore. Second letter, 6/9/17 at 5 a.m. Dear Pet, well, we are all waiting for the end. I guess it won't be long. We take turns rapping on the pipe, so if the rescue crew is around, they will hear us. Well, my dear wife, try not to worry. I know you will, but trust in God. Everything will come out all right. There's a young fellow here, Clarence Marthy. He has a wife and 2 kiddies. Tell her we've done the best we could, but the cards were against us. Goodbye, my loving wife. It is now 5:10. The third letter, 6/9/17, 7 a.m. All alive, but air getting bad. More. One small piece of candle left. Think it is all off. The fourth letter, written on the cover of the book, 6/9/17, 9 a.m. In the dark. All right. Do a little bit of these buttons that we can do not all of them, but some of them. The intro.
The Granite Mountain Speculator Mine Fire. In early 1917, Butte was a unionized industrial city with a population of almost 100,000 people. Home to one of the largest mining operations in the world, the abundance of employment opportunities drew workers from every corner of the globe. No smoking signs posted in the mines were printed in 16 different languages. More than 30 languages were spoken among the city streets. In April, 4 months into the United States' involvement in World War I, came a heightened demand for copper. Butte mines met this increased demand by operating around the clock, working the 14,500 miners like mules in steadily deteriorating safety conditions. Beds in the boarding houses often never went cold because many of the miners were sleeping in shifts as well. Despite these demanding work conditions, Butte miners worked with pride and determination seldom found above ground, let alone half a mile below the surface of the earth. On the evening of June 8, 1917, 410 men were lowered into the Granite Mountain shaft to begin another backbreaking night shift. Earlier in the day, a crew had begun the process of lowering a 3-ton signal cable down the shaft to complete work on a sprinkler system designed to protect against fire. At 8 p.m., the cable slipped from its clamps and fell into a tangled coil below the 2,400-foot level. As it fell, the lead covering was torn away, exposing a large portion of oiled paraffin paper, which was used to insulate the cable. At 11:30 that night, 4 men went down to examine the cable. One of the men accidentally touched his handheld carbide lamp to the cable insulation, which immediately ignited the oily paper. The flame then spread to the shaft timbers, quickly filling the Granite Mountain and speculator shafts with thick, toxic smoke. In the confusion that ensued, just over half of the men working the depths of the Granite Mountain shaft were able to find an escape to the surface. One group of 29 men built a bulkhead to isolate themselves from the smoke and gas for 38 hours before making their way to safety. In the 2,254-foot crosscut, another group of 8 men were found behind a makeshift bulkhead over 50 hours from the start of the fire. 2 of these men died shortly before their rescue, but the other 6 were recovered safely. Though the intensity of the fire cannot be disputed, 2 men were actually burned to death in a rescue attempt at the onset of the blaze. The rest were simply trapped and overcome by the noxious, suffocating fumes. By the close of the rescue operation on June 16, 1917, 8 days after the fire had begun, the death toll had reached its final tally of 168 men. While the Granite Mountain Speculator Mine Fire was the worst disaster in metal mining history, the rescue mission was a remarkable accomplishment. Rescue crews succeeded in searching over 30 miles of drifts and crosscuts and at least 15 miles of stopes, raises, and manways. Townspeople turned out in droves to help in whatever way possible. This was done in just over 7 days in an environment saturated with carbon monoxide and dense tar-laden smoke. 155 bodies were recovered and removed, all without the loss of a single rescue worker. Despite the tremendous damage the fire caused to the Granite Mountain mine, removal of ore continued until the mine's close in 1923. The Butte mines produced the copper that helped electrify America and win World War I. Even in the face of tragedy, Butte was being called the richest hill on earth, referencing the soul and determination in the community rather than the value of the ore beneath its feet.
All right, now we'll do a couple community quotes.
The following are quotes from survivors and loved ones from the Granite Mountain Speculator Mine disaster. Josiah James, interviewed by the Montana Standard.
When we'd waited in the suffocating darkness about 48 hours, we broke out, figuring we had nothing to lose. We got to the spec shaft and found air. They didn't think anyone was still alive down there, but someone signaled the engineer. He couldn't believe he heard a signal, but it was us, and he sent help.
Miner Dave Belmont, who escaped with Mitchell's party through the Badger mine.
There was a lot of us on the 2,000-foot level, and about 12:30, the nipper told us there was a fire in the shaft and that we'd better get out. 2 old miners who knew where this drift was led the way for us, and we started for the Badger. I don't know how far it is, probably 25 or 30 minutes of making the trip, but it was a long way for us. The wind blew out our candles, and we stumbled along in the dark until someone managed to light a carbide lamp, and then we made better progress.
Madge Dugan, the wife of Manus Dugan, who was later found dead in the mine, with letters written to Madge. Manus was responsible for saving the lives of 25 men.
He was the finest looking man who ever walked the earth. I was crazy about him from the time I was 11 years old. I have nothing to say until I see either his dead body or his living one. I think he's still alive. Anyway, I won't give up hope.
Wife of dead shift boss Ben Tregoning.
I must not give up hope.
Ben knows the mine so well he could not get lost. He was rocking 400 feet below the fire level, and he is too capable a miner to get caught.
Oldest child of miner, Stanley Lazakis, father of 5, rescued with the Moore party.
Papa's at the hospital. A man came and said Papa was not dead in the mine, but he's at the hospital.
Louis Muller, speaking of his dead partner.
I'm single. Chris is married. I'd rather have died if he could have lived.
Excerpt from the Butte Daily Post, June 9th, 1917.
Desolated homes, stricken townsmen, the bitter sacrifice of robust manhood, the unavailing tears, the shattering of hopes, and the rude sundering of tender ties. These things fill the mind of this community.
This is a very, very touching exhibit. I mean, be able to hear it in their words. You can hear the raw emotion in the voices. We're going to do 2 more things real quick, and then we're going to take off. So next one will be a survivor story.
This memorial is dedicated to all the men who died in the Granite Mountain Speculator Mine Fire, the most deadly metal mining accident in U.S. history. This is the story of Elmer Miller, who was the last known survivor from the Granite Mountain Speculator Mine Fire that killed 168 men on June 8, 1917 in Butte, Montana.
My name is Elmer Miller. I live in Marysville, California. I am 96 years old, and I'm the last known survivor of the Granite Mountain Fire that killed 168 men June 1917 in Butte, Montana. I was born in Olin, Iowa in 1898 and came to Butte with my family in 1916. I started to work at the tramway mine when I was 17 years old. We worked 7 days a week and were paid $40 for 7 days' work. Times were tough, but better than farming, which had been my family's livelihood. After leaving the tramway mine, I was hired at the Granite Mountain mine. I was lucky and got a job as a tool nipper, getting tools and supplies for different miners. There I soon learned all the workplaces on the 1,800 and the 2,000 foot levels. My brother Clarence worked for the same foreman, bulkhead Jack Hamill. At the time of the fire, we were both on the 2,000 foot level. As the fire developed, the smoke and gas came through all the workings, and all of the workers came out toward the shaft. But that was where the fire was. It was quickly decided to try to get out to the high ore shaft.
All right, guys, and then the very last one we're going to do is a couple of the heroes' letters. We already read some of them, but we're going to go ahead and hear it real quick.
Elmer Miller survived, but not all were so lucky. Manus Dugan, a nipper, and J.D. Moore, a shift boss, saved the lives of 31 men by instructing them to build bulkheads made of lagging timber, canvas pipe, and their own clothes. Without the bulkheads, gases from the fire would have killed them all. Manus Dugan saved the lives of 25 men, but he lost his own. J.D. Moore saved the lives of 6 men, and he too lost his life. When their bodies were recovered, letters written to their wives were found by their sides. Given the conditions, a man writing to his wife must have known something was terribly wrong. Listen and learn what it is to know death may be near. Manus Dugan, the beginning.
Sunday morning, 8:45. Have been here since 12 o'clock Friday night. No gas coming through the bulkhead. We have plenty of water. We're all in good spirits.
Dugan realizes he's nearing the end.
I realize that all the oxygen is being consumed. Everybody is breathing heavily. If death comes, it will be caused by all oxygen used from the air in the chamber. By the time all men were rounded together Friday night, we were all caught in a trap. I suggested we must build a bulkhead. The gas was everywhere. We built a bulkhead and then a second for safety. We could hear rock falling and suppose it to be the rock in the 2400 skip chute. We have rapped on the air pipe continuously since 4 o'clock Saturday morning. No answer. Must be some fire. I realize the hard work ahead of the rescue men. Have not confided my fears to anyone, but welcome death with open arms, as it is the last act we must all pass through, and as it is but natural.
All right, guys. So if you have some time, get up here and see the Granite Mountain Fire exhibit. It sits up here on Main Street in Butte, Montana, which Butte sits in southwest Montana. You can get to it driving down I-90 or I-15. So there's all kinds of history here in the Butte area. Butte and Anaconda are very big in history. So if you have some time, get out here and see it. Thanks for coming on, guys. As always, have a good rest of your day.